Okay, we're live.
We're live. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone, all of our huge audience. How's everyone doing?
Doing
Well,
good.
great, hanging in.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We got Cootie, Shooky, my dad, my breath, my air, my life. These are all my BFFs. Okay, so we're going to come on here today. And the reason me and my sisters wanted to do this podcast is because we have had quite the colorful life. And there are 5 girls and 2 boys in our family. And we thought, why not share a little bit about our story and everything that we've gone through as a family and individually. And that this podcast is really made for anyone, but particularly women, moms, anyone who's really struggling in the mental health world. I think we all have a lot of experience in that space. So we're just going to touch on our life and kind of everything we've gone through and our current situations. And we're going to have a few special guests on here. And I think let's start with the oldest. So, Christine, please introduce yourself.
I am Christine. And as you can see under my name, it says the Sansone Sisters. I really didn't get the memo that we're supposed to put our name on here. So, anyways, I'm new to this. Nikki, I love how you have mom in the background. So
Yeah, I know. Isn't that timely?
No, but yeah, great. Timely, not planned. Anyways. So I'm Christine. I'm the oldest girl of all these beauties here. We also have our youngest, Lily, and then our 2 older brothers who are not on here, but we are all super close. We adore each other most of the time, right? And I'm just excited to, embark on this journey with my sisters and, just be a safe space, a safe haven for, people out there. I hope that we're able to give you a place of safety and hopefully some humor and just all of the things. And so I'm really excited. Next up, my tan girly in the hot pink.
Yep. Spray tan. I'm Carrie. I'm the second oldest girl. I think to piggyback off of what Christine said and Nikki said, that our goal is really to just be open and honest about our lives, our trials, everything we've been through. I'm a new mom. Debbie's a new mom. We all have, things that we're adjusting to in life, and we've had some hardships, and just sort of be an open book and talk to you all about everyday life and how we're navigating it. And we just hope that we can, appeal to as many people as possible. But I guess that's all I have to say. Debbie?
Well, I think everybody kind of nailed it. What we're talking about here, what we're trying to get people to pay attention to kind of see. It's just our everyday life. For example, I'm a new mom, like Carrie said, of twins. So I'm currently watching them sleep. So there was a little bit of a hiccup. We were supposed to do this earlier, but my schedule got a little bit sideways for all the new moms out there that try for a schedule. My kids are 6.5 weeks old, and I'm trying to follow that freaking mom's on call thing. And
let's just mention that it took us about 100 times to even get us 4 on a call.
On this at the same time.
We also mentioned that Carrie also has twins, and they're how old, Care?
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah,
and
Carrie has 6-week-old twins. I have 6-week-old twins. And before we, get into everything.
6-year-old.
What?
And
I
she
have
is
a 6-year-old.
Oh, so we're gonna do like 6 is like the cool number now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have 6. I have 6-week-old twins. Carrie has 6-month-old twins, and they were spontaneous both sets before everyone starts asking questions.
Conclusions.
I'm really going to be clear about that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, my twins are on a schedule, aka sleep when I can get them to sleep and wake when I can get them to wake. They're nocturnal right now, so they usually.
And that's a whole different episode. Getting these.
Yeah, let's get back to what we're here for. So, we're here as new moms, as everyday women, and really just coming from a place of trials, tribulations, daily life, marriage, single motherhood, all of it. So me and my husband just may or may not have gotten into it about 25 minutes ago. So that's for another episode as well. But here we are, and I'll let Nikki take it away again.
Okay, so that was Debbie. That was so good. So we're just going to talk really naturally on here. And the people who know us, actually, I feel like are probably cracking up because I feel like we kind of sound scripted. But
Yeah.
just bear with us as we work out the kinks because we've never done this a day in our lives. And we're trying so hard. We're really trying for the side hustles. But
I think people will believe that. I think people will believe that this isn't scripted because 90%. I would have had a full face of makeup on if I would have known this was going.
People will never see Debbie not in makeup ever again from this point on.
Even though she's still
leave it for this episode.
Yeah,
well, this is new motherhood. Yes, this is new motherhood. So there we are.
But, okay, so now kind of intro me, kind of the favorite, sorry, I think I just messed something up. I just downloaded something. Oh God, hold on, guys. Everyone, hold on. I'm here.
It's okay.
No. Let me introduce. Okay. So my name's Nikki. I am the 6 out of 7. I have a 6-year-old daughter who's almost 7, and she is 6 going on 25. I have gone through quite a colorful life. I'm 6 years sober. These 6s, this is actually insane. I just realized this. I think that's a sign.
Nikki, but I'm 6 weeks and I'm 6 years in like a week.
Yeah, you are, because Martin. I remember. Yeah. Okay. And then Debbie's 6 years sober. So a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of common things we have. And I tend to be kind of the funnier one. So I'm really looking forward to this and being the center of attention because I love that. So I'm really excited, and let's just kind of get it going.
All right. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Christine.
Do you mind? Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Taking it away.
No,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just, again, we've never done this before. And quite frankly, we don't have any sort of agenda or plan of what we're going to talk about today specifically. But I would, at first, something that comes to mind and, just kind of like our upbringing and life, with our mom, our beautiful mother, who we'll get to all of that. But I would just like to ask, my sisters, kind of starting with Carrie, what your, favorite memories. Well, Debbie, if you don't mind, would you, for those that don't know, our mom passed away in 2001 by suicide. Hopefully that's, okay, the way I said it, Debbie. I'm not very well versed in the mental health community, but I'm really trying to learn all that I can. Anyways, so that's what happened to our mom in 2001. I was 14, almost 15 at the time. And then I guess I'll start off by telling, if you don't mind, kind of some of my memories of mom growing up. I think when at least I have the
background a little bit.
What's that?
Your story and background a little bit. Maybe like introduce all of it, like just to give our story and kind of what we're about and the things that we've gone through. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you go ahead, Nick, I'm a little bit sorry.
Sorry. Okay. No.
Can I interrupt for a second? So, if that's okay, Nick, I think that I think we wanted to start, especially with this episode or whatever you want to call this, our first, I don't know what it is. We really, I guess, thought that it would make the most sense to really tell the story of our mom, because we're here today because of everything we've gone through in life. And really that specific moment of our mom passing shaped it, all of us. And we've all navigated life so differently. We were brought up in the same household with the same experiences and took all these different paths in life. And I think that, down the road, as we do this more, we'll each talk individually. But I think what we especially wanted to touch on, to sort of piggyback off of what Christine was saying, was tell our mom's story. Because if I can say this, I think 21 years ago, when our mother died by suicide, I was so young, I was 13, but there were so many misconceptions about depression and mental illness that we're at a place now where we're mothers of our own, where we feel like, gosh, knowing what I know now, if I could have just understood my mother, if more people knew this about her, knew this about mental illness. And I think that's really what we want to get across. And yeah, you know, we might be 21 years late, but there's tons of people out there that are struggling with this now. And if we could touch even just one person, that's really our goal of what we want to
I mean,
accomplish.
to piggyback off of what Carrie's saying, I mean, you look at what happened 2 weeks ago with the mother in Ohio, you know,
Yeah.
that she, you know, was dealing with severe postpartum. She was a wonderful mother previously. The husband, you know, just came out. I got emotional reading his statement that he was like, this really wasn't my wife. And I want people to know just what kind of mom she was and what wife she was. And that's probably the biggest takeaway for me that brought us back to like our story with mom, because it's weird. Like I'm sitting here, we all have like you know what I mean? Like pictures of our mom. She represents, like Christine's literally has a shrine behind her. But usually I'm the one with the shrine. But yeah, we all have mom like in our homes, in our life, and she's with us daily. But what I think what really struck with me about that Ohio mother, do you guys know what I'm talking about? That mom?
No, actually, I don't.
So she was a nurse, and it was this Ohio mom, and she had been battling postpartum. She actually like self-admitted herself into a psychiatric like evaluation hospital and everything. She was married with 3 kids, and like did everything honestly by the book that like we kind of went through with mom, like postpartum wise. And her son was 10 months old. And then I think she had like a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, or 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, something, 2 boys and a girl. And the husband was working from home, and ended up like going out to get food. And he said she was having the best day. So that's why he went out to get dinner for the kids. And he came home, and she had jumped from the 2nd story window of her house. And 2 of her kids were pronounced dead in the basement by strangulation. And her baby son, that was 10 months, fought for his life for a few days in the hospital and died. And I just, you know, I'm a hairstylist, and like I'm back at work, and just hearing people talk about that story, and just like they're like, how could a mother do that? How could a mom like, you know, do that to her kids and then herself? And she survived, but she's, you know, some are saying she's paralyzed or whatever. But it's like, I wish people knew, like the husband said, like this is not my wife. Like this is psychosis. This is like past.
Just like cancer is a disease. It's a disease.
Yeah, it's a disease.
Triggered by saying things like and I specifically remember a story where somebody got very triggered when I said, you know, it is a disease. It is like cancer and stuff like that. And you know, somebody had actually said to me, you know, but they willingly took themselves out of this world. People with cancer.
Yeah.
And while I can, you know,
I have to put my kids' binky back in.
Go ahead. I can appreciate, you know, everybody's opinions and views on things truly, genuinely, unless you are, I know I mentioned not being well-versed in the mental health space and stuff like that. That's not necessarily true at all. In fact, I've myself struggled with, you know, situational depression, and then of course, postpartum depression. I know without you know, it's science this is a disease, mental health, you know, depression, anxiety. It is a disease. Nobody asks for it. It's a chemical imbalance, stuff like that. And without treatment, unfortunately, you know, this is what can be the outcome of that. And speaking on, you know, memories of my mom was not some, I mean,
that's what I think.
And that's where I think it can go. That's where I wish people could understand. My mother was, you know, my favorite memory was with her, you know, playing soccer with us outside in the rain and just laughing, and my dad tackling her and them giggling and joking, going on trips to Mexico, and her big smile, and just having like the most amazing memories with very few bad memories, honestly. And that was like at the last, you know, several months of her life. You know, she also did have a rough childhood with some, you know, stories and instances that she did open up to me about that are traumatizing and, I'm sure did not. Anyways, I hope that people can understand that anybody that takes their life or whatever the case may be, there is truly that is the least selfish thing I think somebody can do. How can you obviously are not in the right frame of mind, anything, or anyway, you guys go ahead and take over. I get on a tangent.
Well, I can piggyback off of kind of what Christine was saying.
Okay.
Wait, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
So okay, sorry, just lost my train of thought. Okay, so I was thinking about this with when you guys said depression is a disease and everything and how people get triggered by that. I think I can tie that into like alcoholism as well, just because we have to, I mean, there was some alcoholism in mom's past, not that she dealt with, but that she came from. And I think that I think trauma, alcohol, depression, I think they all kind of tie in with each other. And I think about like my own alcoholism and how I used alcohol to mask my own depression and anxiety and things of that sort. And being a mom now, like how impacted you are by postpartum, and our country isn't very, supportive of postpartum mothers, I would say. Yeah. But aside from saying all that, I wanted to also note that our dad started a foundation for my mom shortly after she died. And we have had a speaker series at Washington University every year for the last 21 years. So my dad, instead of kind of sitting there and feeling sorry, I mean, he really took action, or our dad really took action. And the reason I think we all know so much about this, and I'm not speaking for everyone, but I think we've all experienced depression and anxiety on some level. And then also we've spent literally 21 years learning about this from the best doctors in the world. So when you get a lot of great minds together and you start to understand like, wow, there's been doctors and researchers that have been trying to push this stuff through forever. Like I remember being in 5th grade because mom died when I was in 1st grade. I remember being in 5th grade and like seeing commercials for depression medication on the TV and like thinking that was because of dad. Like I was like so proud. And so just knowing, because I mean, it was not talked about. Like we came from a great background. We lived in a nice house. Mom was beautiful. She had 7 healthy kids, like not textbook for what, and every picture you see of her, she's smiling, literally every picture. And so not textbook for what people to this day think suicide is. I know. So cute.
So cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
But
and I think that's, well, I think that's important to note too, because I mean, you don't think it can happen to you until it does. And I think, if I had been older and like realized, what mom went through, things could have been maybe different. But like at the same time, you think about the what ifs and all of that. Like 21 years ago, like Christine was saying, mom died by suicide. And it's like, never in a million years back then, I was 11. Like it wasn't even talked about. Like postpartum depression did not exist. Like no one even knew what that was. I mean,
I did.
Miscarriages hadn't come out with her book about postpartum until like 2 years after mom. Andrea Yates, I remember seeing her on Oprah, like the woman that had all of her kids in the tub, like all of that. She came on like a year after mom died, and people were like, whoa, what is this? And it was like, this is depression. Like, this is what it is. It's not, and it's not just like, oh, I have seasonal depression or I have a tough time getting out of bed. Like, I mean, I don't know if my sisters, like, if you guys want to talk about it, but like mom went through some heavy shit. I mean, and our dad, like to piggy off back of what Nikki said, like he literally, I know for a fact, because I was with him sometimes when he was on the phone or like doing things, I'd be with him at the office. My dad worked full time, or our dad worked full time, and mom stayed home with the kids. But when mom got sick, is what we refer to it as, like depression.
Because there was a phase where she was noticeably like
100%.
yeah, it's not like it was
and
decline.
dad, like I went to work with dad. I would remember like stuff like that. Me and Nikki and Lily. I remember like, for example, like dad just took on a very different approach. But we come from like a very Catholic Italian family where it's like, you know, the mom stays home and she takes care of her kids, and the dad goes to work and he provides. And that's just what it is. And then all of a sudden our mom got sick, and it was like our dad was now like changing diapers and like was doing things that he never really did before. He was taking us to work. And I just think it's really important to note that like my mom isn't the only one, or our mom isn't the only one that like struggled with this disease. Like our dad was put through hell and back. I mean, I was with him in the car or even at his office where he was begging. I remember him being on the phone with a doctor. I think it was in Europe. I think now I know the doctor was from Switzerland as I've gotten older and asked questions. But dad was on this phone with his doctor, and he was like, as long as you can just get her on the airplane and get her here, we can try. And dad was like, you don't understand. Like, she's not going to get on the airplane to talk to you. And so I remember like that dad had to like go like find a doctor in Switzerland to like help mom because he was doing more research.
Christine, like, we don't have like dad had the financial means.
I was just about to say, so, and like Nikki kind of like she just said like, you know, we lived in a nice house. Like point blank is we come from a very like privileged upbringing. Like our dad worked his ass off and comes from a family business and was the oldest son of 8 kids. And they've really sacrificed and done a lot to provide. And our dad had every resource to get mom help. And it was still challenging for him to get her help. And that is why I think he started her foundation. And I think a lot of us can really attest to the fact that our dad, we do, but our dad especially gets phone calls every day from people that are their kid, their son, their daughter, their friend, their cousin, their aunt, their uncle, you know, their parents have been struggling. But I think it's important to note that like, while we don't know the exact diagnosis of our mom, depression, we know that she was diagnosed with depression, but our mom, since this was 21 years ago, she was diagnosed with several things. And we don't know which really, you know, unfortunately, depression is a huge word, and there's a lot that goes into it. I think we can all kind of agree that our mom, towards the end, the last few months, correct me if I'm wrong, Christine and Carrie especially, she had probably what you consider now what you would consider psychosis tendencies, psychotic.
Yes.
Yeah, hallucinations. Our mom hallucinated towards the end. And it was tough, but like we can talk about the disease till we're blue in the face. But like the mom that I had growing up, the mom that Nikki, Christine, Carrie, Lily, Mike, Tony, Botch is what we call him. I don't know why I just said Tony. But Botch that we had growing up is not the mom. Like I went to breakfast with mom every single morning. That was our thing. We would go to Starbucks in the morning, and I was drinking coffee at 6 years old, just trying to be like my mom because she loved coffee so much. And those are like the memories, like, that I want people to know is like depression isn't just can't get out of bed, can't see, you know, not happy. It's usually the ones that like we like have the most pride and the most confidence in, and that make us the happiest, that are the ones that really are struggling. I mean, look at Twitch from Ellen DeGeneres. Like,
right. Christine, you were going to say something a couple times. I didn't want her to.
Oh, sorry. I can't hear.
It's no problem at all. And I think, you know, to kind of go off of everything Debbie was saying, you know, what I find to be like the most, not ironic, I don't know what the right word is, but, and I don't even know if this is something you guys know, but when kind of going through some of mom's things and whatnot, there was a book on postpartum depression. It was like I don't even know what book it was or whatever the case is, but mom was reading it. And it was like she was aware that something was going on. And that's what I find to be the most like, because it can be such an isolating place, especially I think too for, a mother. I mean, yes, Lily was 2 or 2.5, and I don't know if it was postpartum or anything like that. I'm not insinuating that at all. But what I'm trying to get at is like when you're in that place, and I don't know, specifically because I wasn't in her body where exactly she was, but I can speak on the fact when I had very bad, postpartum depression after having my middle son, AJ, it's a really lonely and scary place to be. Because not only are you like a new mom and the world tells you like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to you. And you have this miracle and you have, but then you're like, I can't control what is happening on the inside. It's literally like my physical was like, I was not in control of, it wasn't like the depression I had experienced, on a situational basis or anything. It was more like just an overwhelming, like I couldn't tell anybody about it because how can I tell somebody when I just had this beautiful baby? I'm so lucky. There's people in the world who can't have kids, like, but yet I'm feeling like this is fucking horrible. Like I cannot do this. I literally can't. Like, how am I going to wake up tomorrow? How am I going to, and it makes it really in that time. There were several times that I just sat there, and I'm sorry if I get emotional now because it was a very rough time in my life, but holding AJ and just thinking like, this is how my mom felt, like, wow. Yeah. And even worse, because I wasn't even at a place where like, I don't know. I'm still not at a place where I want to like open up totally, but I just was like, wow, this is, but because of what my mom went through and because of all of that, I was like, okay, I know at least I can reach out to a counselor. I know I probably need medication, but like, my brain couldn't even function so thank God for my counselor. I was able to like, work through this, get the right, assistance and help that I needed. But like going back in time when, truly, like I remember going to the doctor with my dad and all this stuff. Like people didn't talk about depression, mental illness, and all this stuff. It was like, what is wrong with her? Like, this is just
postpartum was called the baby blues up until I was like 13.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, exactly. And so I can understand, looking back, not entirely, but just like not knowing where to take her because it wasn't talked about, number one, and really not understanding what exactly was wrong. Because back then it was just like, suck it up, shake it off, man. Like you're depressed, like what the F is wrong with you kind of thing. And like, I just, it really just, when I had those times after AJ is really when I was like, gosh, like, I wish I could talk to her about it now because, like you do feel like there's nobody else in the world that can, and you're scared to get the help because you're scared of what they can tell you. You're scared they're going to take your kids away. Well, if I go, I remember thinking and saying, if I get help, are they going to take AJ away from me?
That's
so
sad.
I can understand how mom was fearful because all she cared about were her babies and us. And like, if she didn't have us, what was there to live for? And so I just, it's very, I just hope people can truly like, I don't know. I hope this resonates with you're not alone and like there is help and there is, all of that out there. And like, although what happened to my mom is just god awful and I would, do almost anything to have her back. What if I didn't experience that, learn about mental illness, and then I went through all of that with AJ? I don't know what that could have led to, so since then I've taken, when I did get pregnant with Luca, we went as far as like an action plan of writing down a list of people for like, if I were to go down that road again, like who to call to bring me food, who to call if I couldn't get out of bed, stuff like that. Luckily, thank God I didn't, have that. But I'm saying, although I wish mom was here, I do think this happened for us so that we could help people out there. So
I agree, Christine. And like, I think about that from when I had Layla, I was full time on my own as a single mom, and I was drinking.
And literally on your own. Like you didn't have her dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like her dad was not in the picture. And I had been drinking a lot, and not when I was pregnant with her, but as soon as I had her, I was ready to go again. And I got sober when she was 4 months, and that opened my life up a lot, but it was really, there were some dark times in there. And I remember, there was one time where I was having really bad intrusive thoughts. And I think this is something people don't talk about because I was having bad intrusive thoughts. And I thought that if I tell someone, Layla's going to get taken away from me. And I went to my therapist and I told him all my thoughts, and I was prepared. I was like, okay, if it's best for Layla. Like I literally in my mind was like, she's going to get taken away from me. And that's what's so fucked up about this is like, we literally love these kids more than anything in the entire world. And it's like, I'll never forget my therapist at that moment saying to me, and he's a psychiatrist who's done a lot of research on depression. I mean, he's dedicated his life to it. And he's like world renowned. And he said to me, that saying, it takes a village. He's like, that doesn't just come from somewhere. That comes from villages used to raise their babies together. And like, if you even look at it, like how dad was raised, he was around his grandparents all the time. He was around his cousins all the time. His aunts, we were around our cousins all the time. I mean, think about when mom died, like I lived at Aunt Catherine and Uncle Jim's. And so like I was there all the time. And so we had this enormous family, this enormous support system. I, as a single mom, had this enormous family, enormous support system. And there were times where I seriously was like, this is all me. What am I going to do? And like, I had really bad postpartum anxiety, and it was the craziest feeling I'd ever had. It was like, I didn't want to die, but I felt like I wanted to like unzip my skin and just like run away from it. Like, I just wanted to like run away. And it's such an isolating feeling. It really is. And I think the only way it became less isolating for me was like listening to podcasts where women like talked about this and really said like, this is what I'm dealing with. And honestly, talking to you guys, like I just remember one time I was really struggling bad with depression, and Layla had started spending time at her dad's, and her dad's amazing. I'm so thankful for him. But at the time it was really new, and I had only identified as a single mom. And she started going to her dad's, and I just felt empty. Like every weekend she was gone, I was just sleeping, and I just felt,
I can imagine that,
like sick. And I called Debbie, and she goes, just FaceTime me until you get up and get in the shower. And it felt like there was a piece of iron on my chest. Like I physically couldn't get up, but I got up, and she didn't judge how I looked. And I got up, I got in the shower, and she stayed on FaceTime while I showered. And it's people like that. You have to have people like that in your life. And now watching, like, and Christine and I have talked about this, watching Debbie and Carrie become moms and like them really understanding. And like Debbie was like literally like, she was like my co-parent when Layla was little, but like having them like truly understand and like watch them go through it. It's like, it's just crazy. I mean, we all go through it. Like, seriously, we all freaking go through it. And we're all completely different moms, and we all have gone through it. And I think that says something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara,
And yeah, no, and I will just, you guys really, I mean, covered a lot of it too. And I can very much relate to this in the fact that, you know, and I so wish, and this is probably why we want to do this, because I just so wish it was talked about more. Like, I wish that I would have gone into motherhood. And obviously I had you all sort of tell me like your trials and your tribulations and struggles with it and things like that. But as a whole, I really was so naive to what this would feel like. And you know, you go into motherhood and you know, I delivered these two beautiful blessings, and then I get home and I'm like, you know, you're told you're supposed to be so happy, and it's just like, you know, you're supposed to feel overjoyed, but I was feeling like isolated and lonely. And you know, I didn't know. It makes me feel sad for people that don't have the support system that I have, because I truly would have felt crazy or a little off. Because if Christine didn't go through this, or Nikki, or, you know, have the experience of my mom, I would have just felt, you know, even more lonely than I already felt. And, you know, I'll just be 100% open where, you know, my sisters know this. I don't, you know, maybe people know this, but I'm very much into like a natural, holistic way of living. And, you know, I'm the type of person that would be like, yeah, I don't really like to take medicine and things like that. And I'm like, oh, just go work out, or, you know, you'll feel better and things like this. And like, let me tell you, like, this rocked me to my core, to the point to where I, you know, was getting through it. And like 6 months later, I think I, you know, confided in Christine first. And I was just like, listen, I'm really, this is what I'm struggling with. I cannot kick this. It doesn't, I could do a million workouts. I could sweat. It doesn't, you know, I'm sitting in front of the vitamin D sun lamp, you know, nothing is like, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm like trying everything. And at the end of the day, I just felt like I was feeling like I was, as much as, and it's crazy to say this because it's like my kids are my absolute life in my world. But as time was going on, I was feeling like my light was dimming. I was disconnecting in a way. And I'm just being open and hoping that this would, you know, other people can relate to this, that I felt like, you know, gosh, am I really that prideful to where I don't want to take this medicine that could potentially help me? Am I going to keep feeling sad or having these anxious thoughts every day, all day? Or am I going to really step up and, you know, take initiative and do something that would make me a better mom? And, you know, at the end of the day, I confided in a couple of you, and I was like, this is what I really think I'm going through. I'm really struggling with this. I cannot kick it. Like, nothing I'm doing can kick this. And I called my doctor, and, you know, it was funny too, when I spoke to my doctor, they were asking me these questions of like, you know, do you feel like do you have these thoughts of like hurting your children and this and that? And it has not gotten that deep for me, or hadn't gotten that deep, but it made me sad for the women that it has gotten that deep for. And I just wish that more
can't
people
really say.
they can't say. Yeah. And you know, mine is probably just minimal compared to what other people are going through. And it's like, you know, we have the luxury of picking up the phone and calling each other and talking through this, but like, and I don't know, this could maybe reach 5 people or 500. I have absolutely no idea. But if it just makes me feel better to say, if there is anyone out there that just wants someone to talk to, I mean, I don't know even if we're posting this on Facebook or what, but I can tell you, to speak for all 4 of us, like, we are more than happy to talk you through anything, or just be a listening ear. Yeah. And, you know, and I wish so bad too, if I could just say one more thing, that society would be more accepting of motherhood and open and honest about, you know, like, forgive my language, but like, fuck this bounce back culture and everything like that. We are trying to just stay afloat.
Truly.
And there's so much pressure on moms and everything that we have to do. We have to work now. We have to raise our children. We have to clean the home. We have to make the dinners.
And then the school activities. It's like,
yeah. And no matter how supportive your spouse is, there is so much weighing on us. And at times you can feel like it's unfair, but at the end of the day, if we could all just lean on each other as sisters, as women, you know, we really could create such a strong community. And I think that, speaking for all of us, this motherhood thing has really shaped us. And we're here today talking about it because it's given us this power to like reach and help so many people if you know we can.
And Carrie,
hopefully.
that was beautiful. If I may just add one thing, and then I
I
will
feel
not.
like I rambled a little.
No,
No,
that was
not at
absolutely.
all.
I give you. I mean, I'm so proud of you for, you know, you've never been. I'll be honest. I've been on an antidepressant off and on since I was, I don't know, 16. You know, I know this wasn't easy for you to share, Carrie, and I think it's going to touch a lot of people. I mean, you've never, you know, you've been, I don't know about Debbie, maybe you too. I'm not entirely sure about that, but Carrie, I know with you that you've never taken medicine for anxiety or for, and so I admire you for coming out and sharing that. And I think it truly is going to, you know, help a lot of people. I would also like to say, you know, I know we're speaking of mothers and women and all of that, but I think I urge men too to really, you know, I know that men struggle, but I can't speak on that. I'm not a man, but what I can say is, you know, I'll just, and I don't think my husband would mind. You know, he comes from a very different background, culturally different than mine in terms of, you know, I'm from a, you know, he's from a farming family. I'm not from a small town or anything like that. And it's different, you know, it's kind of just like farm work and deal with everything else, just deal with it kind of thing. And so, I just, you know, and I know that he has taken it upon himself to really like, you know, learn about this and mental health and all of that. And he's come a long way, but I just urge men, you know, it's not, I don't even know how to put it, like just to hear us. And when your spouse or your partner, whatever the case is, you know, just if they're showing signs of isolation or detachment, or just, you know, maybe they're not caring for themselves like they were, or they're not caring for their baby like you think they should and stuff like that. Instead of, you know, pressuring them to breastfeed or not, I'm not saying at all by any means did my husband do this, but I know this occurs, that truly is, you know, I just hope that I just urge men to really show compassion and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they don't, but that's just something that is, I think, important. And, I hope that makes sense.
And I agree, Christine. And I want to say one thing about that with the men thing. I think that as women, we're more emotional and we're more like a little bit more in tune with our feelings. And like, if you look back to, you know, however many years, like men were the hunters and women were the gatherers, and men have been taught to protect, to take care of. I mean, and like we were talking about dad, like he was a superhuman and he went through his stuff too. You know what I mean? And I think like men sometimes get pushed into a category of like, they're fine kind of thing, like throughout our society. And if you look at like the suicide rates, I mean, men are really struggling as well. So like, I just want to urge, I know we're talking about motherhood and we're talking about a lot of, you know, just being a woman in this world and whatever it might be. But like, I also want men to feel like they can listen to this stuff too, and they're not ousted out of this, because this is like, we're talking about depression as a whole. And we were raised by a man. And I mean, I'm surrounded by all guys every single day. And there's a level of pressure on them too, that, you know, is really hard. So I think I just urge, you know, I just don't want men to feel isolated from this and feel like they can, you know, listen as well. And they're not weak at all asking for help. Actually, the opposite. So
I love that, Nikki. Thank you.
Well, I think this was great, guys, and we're getting close to being out of time here. And I think that we definitely, you know, covered a lot of what we wanted to touch on. I definitely think that, you know, for whoever's listening, this is something that we want to continue to do. We don't have a plan, a strategy, really. We just want to honestly talk openly and really just be a sounding board for anyone that is willing to listen. So our whole goal is to just let people, or hopefully people, feel less alone with us talking about our stories. So,
and guys, please share this.
Yeah.
Please share this, and if you're interested and if you like what you hear, please feel free to share with your friends, family, whatever you want to, and feel free to reach out to any of us on Facebook, I think so, or Instagram, whatever. But I'm like seeing like
again, we have no strategy. Eventually, we'll get one.
no strategy, but just share this if you like what you hear.
Right.
Love my girlies.
Love you guys. Thanks,
Love you
everyone.
Love
Bye.
you, little G or Sunny. I'm not sure which one it is, but
It's funny.
okay.
Son, love you, son.
Fun.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys. Love you.